We're going to make a debris shelter and then go through a few steps that you can take should you become isolated in order to help the probability of your discovery increase, as well as give you better situational awareness for what's around you and give you a couple secrets that, quite frankly, nobody ever wants to talk about. We're going to do a solo overnight, no tent, no tarp, no sleeping bag, no fire. We're going to see if we can't survive the extreme cold temperatures. Right now it's about 20 degrees. It's not going to get above freezing. And if you're asking yourself why, it's because each and every single year thousands of search and rescue operations are conducted to return or recover the injured, the isolated, and the lost. And exposure to the cold is one of the leading causes for those rescue missions to turn to recovery operations. Story after story, the same themes are told over and over again. I didn't think it would happen to me. It was just a short day hike. I didn't know that the weather was going to take a turn for the worst. I just wanted to move off trail a little bit to take a photo. Whether you're hunting, you're backpacking, exploring, hiking, bushcrafting, doing whatever, we subject ourselves to risks when we move out through the woods. And before you know it, the day starts to become late and you have a decision to make. Are you going to keep on moving, or are you going to stop for the night? We want to avoid places that are wide open because that temperature is just going to drop. We want to avoid low bowls, again, because that moisture and that temperature is just going to sit in there and make it that much cooler. We need to find a place that's back up into the woods a little bit, and here we can begin to make our shelter. All right, so obviously I'm not in my backyard. I can't pretend to build a shelter out here and then go inside where it's warm and come back out in the morning. Not that I know anybody that does that, but I think this is about as good of a spot as I'm going to be able to find. There's plenty of natural resources around. We got a nice thick bed of moss, which will help with both a little bit of comfort and some insulation. So we're going to go ahead and get a debris shelter set up. Normally you would make a bipod. In this case, I'm going to make a tripod, just to get a little bit of added security. So let's get this going. And so before we get the rest of the skeleton put in place, I'm gonna get a bed laid down, give us a little bit more insulation. Now that we got our skeleton made, we're gonna get this thing covered with as much insulation as we can to the point where we can't see daylight up through it. Right, so it's important to stay busy and to stay active, but not overheat either. And I am starting to feel my core temp come up pretty good, man. There's been a lot of hacking and a lot of sawing going on, so we're gonna take a short break and hydrate a little bit. And I got a little bit of chow we'll consume, which of course help our core body temperature up as well. Cool off for a second there. Oh yeah. So before it gets too much later, we're going to work through and increase our own probability of discovery. Somebody is coming out looking for us, as well as use a tried and proven method to be able to work out from a fixed location and be able to work our way back. We'll finish this coffee first. And now on the back end, we'll add in some more insulation to this thing, because last thing I want to do tonight is freeze to death. So as you can see, part of my kit is carrying some flagging tape. And what we're going to do is mark this tree so that it's easier to find as we begin to explore out and about. Once I have that set, I'm just going to move out at some cardinal directions. So north is straight this direction here. I'm going to move out until I can't see this anymore. And then we're going to mark another tree. Now I've got the north, we're going to do the east. Now we got the east, we're going to do the south. As long as I can see that flagging tape, I can find my way back to our shelter. So we'll get one hung up on this tree here. Now if anybody's happens to be coming this way and they see this flagging tape, they know that somebody is in the area. And once we get off to the west, I'm gonna move off to each point and then push out again, and then we'll see how much time that we have left. Super easy to find. As long as you can see that tape, you know you can find your way back. We're gonna move this direction. So I made it out there and found out that I was out of flagging tape, but that's okay. We have another option that we can use, and I want to show you something. We got our flagging tape out straight ahead of us. This seems like a good one. So what I'm gonna do here, right? So what I'm gonna do here is put in a small blaze on both sides of the tree. The direction that I came from and the direction that I'm going to keep moving towards. As you can see, the blazes are not deep, and they don't need to be deep. The deeper they are, the more damage you're going to cause to the trees. But there is nothing in nature that is going to cause this type of mark. The narrower the diameter of the tree, the easier it's going to be to put in a blaze. But regardless, this can be seen, and it's obvious that it was man-made. Now from here, I think I can see a road that is out in front of us. So we're gonna go check this out. This may be our saving grace for tomorrow. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. This was exactly what we needed. A glimmer of hope for tomorrow. Now I'm starting to lose sunlight and I'm miles away from where we started. So I'm not gonna try to venture off. We already have a shelter set up. But I am going to set a man-made feature here that will point off in the direction that we came from and where our shelter's at. Got a glove. It ain't perfect, but I think it's enough to get the job done. Somebody comes through here, and I wouldn't mind if they did. Let's take it back, make some improvements before we lose our daylight. So we just follow the blazes back until we get to our tree. All right, so we got all 4 cardinal points marked out, going out 100 meters. And of course, off to our west, we found a road. And this is why it's important to stop what you're doing and to think about what your plan needs to be and what kind of risk that you need to assume. Because had we just kept wandering about, man, there's no telling where we would have ended up at. And truth be told, in the lower 48, there is pretty much not a single place that is so remote that is less than half of a mile to a mile and a half from a road or a major trail. And where there's a road, if you follow it, you're going to find another road. And odds are, especially where we're at, we're going to find some vehicular traffic to be able to help us get out of this situation. So from here, I'm gonna put on my beanie. It is starting to get a little chilly. I only have maybe an hour of daylight left, and then we're gonna keep adding on some insulation to our shelter, and then probably call it a night after that. Now we got a solid 12 inches of insulation over the top of us and 6 inches as a bed. And I am freaking hot as shit. Whew. Now let's show you the inside of this. Let's see what kind of daylight we're getting. Oh yeah. I got enough room in here to roll over if I need to. But there's not so much room that it's so high that the hot air is gonna escape. And as you can see, man, there is no daylight up in here at all, except for the door. And the door is very small, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to do an A-frame, is because I could make the opening a little bit smaller. So I think we're gonna call this a night. Try to get as much rest as we can. See y'all in the morning, I hope. Oh, it's about 2 o'clock in the morning. I gotta take a leak. This is gonna suck, because I know it's cold as shit out there. I'm cold in here, but so far so good. Here we are on the outside. These are thermal to see what that temperature is. 3.7 degrees, 5 degrees. Breakfast of champions right there. We're gonna let the sun come up, work our way back out to that road, and find our way out of here. You know, had we not found that road this morning, we could have kept doing the same thing, moving out to that last marker that we had, and then push out another, 25 to 50 meters at a time, and knowing that we could always work our way back here, where at least we have a place where we can stay warm. Team, I'm really starting to feel the temps now that I'm outside the shelter. My fingers and my toes are freaking cold, but we made it. Sub-freezing temperatures all night long. Now, truth be told, I had a couple things going for me. One, I didn't have any wind to deal with, and two, I didn't have any precipitation. But make no mistake, this was a dangerous experiment. But I hope that it goes to show you that you can make it. You can survive harsh and extreme conditions, even when you're ill-prepared and unequipped for what Mother Nature is going to bring your way. Truth be told, yes, you're going to get cold. You're going to get hungry. And you're going to get thirsty. But you can make it. So I hope you enjoyed the content of this one. If you did, make sure you leave some comments down below. Of course, make sure you consider liking and sharing it. And until then, you stay out there, you keep grinding, and you stay stoked. Well, man, it took about 30-45 minutes, I guess, to make it back to the truck, and it is still cold AF. You can still see the snow on the toolbox, and it is 21 degrees, and it's 8:20 in the morning. Team, if you want to master your craft and develop your tactical virtue, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell so that you can stay up to date with future content. Consider becoming a channel member. It's going to give you exclusive access to content not available to anybody else. I appreciate you guys. Until then, you stay out there, you keep grinding, and you stay stoked.
We know you're out there! Come to my voice!